Hello, and welcome to my first lesson on masculine versus feminine signs with sociological and ethical nuance. Because something that shits me in the astrology community is how much people don't give enough examples and nuance for everything, and then it leaves a lot of people confused, and it leaves a lot to be desired from people that may end up having an interest if they felt it was more applicable to actual real life, right? So let's start with the basics. So what are masculine and feminine energies? When I'm saying masculine or feminine, I am not talking about the gender binary as you know it. I'm talking about energetically. I'm talking about loosely the concept of yin and yang. I don't want to misuse it, because it has cultural relevance, but it's the idea that masculine expresses itself in a certain way, feminine expresses itself in a certain way. It is not the idea that men have to be masculine and women have to be feminine. Okay. Alrighty, so masculine, we can look at that as outward expression, assertiveness, logic, masculinity, dominance, independence. Now, in terms of dominance, I would say both of them share dominance. It's just that the feminine is a feminine dominance. It's the difference between soft power and just like your typical overt authority. But this masculine dominance on the masculine end is dominance that is in your face. It is not trying to pretend. It doesn't care how you feel about it. It's probably not even conscious. It's doing that. It just is what it is, right? So, okay, let us go to the next slide. Okay, so who are our masculine and feminine signs in the zodiac? Starting from the left, we'll start with the masculine signs. We've got the air signs. We have Gemini on the left. This might help you remember what the symbols mean. We've got Gemini, and then this is Libra. Here we have Aquarius. This is Aries. That's Leo. That's Sagittarius. Air, this is the alchemical symbol for air. This is the alchemical symbol for fire. Water, we have Cancer, Scorpio. This will make my writing look a little bit less sad and annoying. Pisces. That's all the water signs, so Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Then we have Taurus. That is Virgo. And on the end there is Capricorn. I detest the glyph for Capricorn. I don't like writing it. I don't like looking at it. I'm such a Venusian. Anyway, those are the masculine signs. Those are the feminine signs. Water is about flow. Earth is about sensuality. These are naturally feminine traits. Femininity is about intuition, I think I missed that on the previous slide, but yeah, intuition, inward facing, that sort of energy. And yeah, we've already gone through air and fire, so let's go to the next one. Cool. So now that we're here, what are the actual differences between masculine and feminine women? This lesson is going to mainly focus on the women for now, and then we'll do the men next, because I can kind of talk at length about this. So these are my observations. I've been interested in astrology since I was 17, but I probably started asking people regularly what their star sign was, probably from like 18, 19. And I have been compiling in my own mind observations, taking what I've learnt in astrology with what I see in real life. I've done the same thing with celebrities. So whenever celebrity drama comes up, I tend to, at the very least, check people's sun signs. And even though it might not seem like it's a lot, it is actually taught me a lot just by doing that. And it has assisted me in understanding these energies intrinsically as they apply to other areas of the chart. Okay. So, your masculine sun sign women, your fire signs on this side. Jesus. So, we have our fire signs on this side, we've got our air signs on this side. Now, your masculine sign women are the ones that are going to defend you out in public, out in the world. It's not to say that they would never shut up and watch something happen to you, but they are actually the least likely to, especially if you're someone that they care about, if you're genuinely their friend. But even, to be fair, as a stranger, they are just the most likely to be quite open about intervening in situations because of that masculinity. That masculinity sees something go. So air and fire signs do have justice sensitivity, both of them in different ways. I think for the air signs, it's coming from this like humanitarian, air signs are consistently thinking about they're social animals, So they're thinking about relationally what is unfair socially, and that is a problem. With fire signs, it's like I actually think that just sensitivity is ego based, but not necessarily in a bad way. It's like they care about working hard, being the best, all that sort of stuff. And so it makes it easier when they're so competitive and tuned into that competitiveness for them to notice things that are uneven structurally and then for them to get mad about that. And their madness is righteous, it is intrinsic, and it is that is the fuel that you need to meet to meet injustice and actually do something about it, right? So these are the people that get physically revved up. And if you get these two together, oh my God, as an air sign, having fire sign girly friends has always been my thing because it's chaos. But it doesn't feel like chaos. It's just like we rev each other's energies up so we all feel bigger from it. The difference is, fire signs are embodied. They are similar to water and earth in that sense. It's like that instinct, right? They are working from pure body intelligence. That's why they are quick. They're quick thoughts. They're quick to move their bodies. Like it's that sort of thing. And then the air signs are just, for me, it's intellectual dominance. Air signs aren't afraid to body someone, especially if they feel like they are right logically. Logic is the fuel that fans our flames. It is the fallback. It is the reason that we can justify having to intervene in our friends' issues, having to stand up for strangers and colleagues. It's like, well, logically, explain why you want to keep taking advantage of this person. Because if you don't have a good explanation for it, stop taking advantage of them and let's stop pretending like this is even something worth talking about. So this is kind of like the ways in which these different masculine signs come through and approach just being out and about and being out in public. So if you are in a club and a man, say you have a friend and she is an Aries or a Leo or a Sag, a man comes up to you, starts dancing all over you, and you are clearly uncomfortable, or you say no, or you don't say no, but you're indicating with your body you're trying to move away, and they keep moving closer to you. that embodied fire energy means that woman is literally going to use her body to stand between you and the threat at hand. These are your lionesses, right? This is your war goddess. This is your much harder for Sagittarius. What's a nice succinct? Sagittarius. I would say righteous scholar. That's the energy that they approach situations with. And so masculine energy, when it comes to women, looks at a man and goes, okay, you wanna play a hierarchy game? I'll meet you there. Let's play a dominance game. Let me look you straight in the eye, straight in your eye, and tell you that you're a little bitch boy. And tell you that you could never afford to touch a woman like my friend. You could never even afford to touch me. And if you touch either of us again, I will show you what unconsensual touching feels like. With my body, with my fists, I will cause a riot. Fire doesn't think, let's call the police. That's too far away. Who's got time for that? Okay. Fire thinks, it's on. Fire thinks it's prey or predator, and I damn sure am not the fucking prey. That's fire energy. Fire is like a cub trying to fight his dad. It's like, and the cub would be Aries, of course. You know, who else is the baby? It's like, I will die trying to fight you because I have decided that this is all, like, I can't even, it's fire. It's like I can't even sit around entertaining multiple streams of thought right now because you've activated me. You've activated me, and it's one path toward destruction. And that path is directly in my line of sight. And who's in my line of sight? You, motherfucker. That's exactly what it's like. On the negative side, though, well, the positives are, these are the protectors of the zodiac in the way that matters for the patriarchal society that we live in. These are disruptors because they are disrupting our idea of binaries. And binaries, by the way, in case you didn't know, the reliance on binaries and the way that we use them in the modern day is actually a very Western idea. I'm not saying we wouldn't have masculine or feminine as a concept. I am saying, because I study Western astrology, but I overlay it with all the astrologies. I just learn, I feel resonance, and I filter using my intuition. I'm not strict because I am an African. And so I actually come into this with like African cosmology, which is very similar to indigenous cultures. I've done a lot of research. The reliance with over identifying binaries with men should do X, women should do X, especially in the ways that we do interpret it right now, is a very Western invention. In other societies, it's not that there was never, roles, but they weren't strictly based on gender. There was just a lot more nuance to it. And in case you didn't know, historians have discovered that it was a whole myth. The whole men were purely hunters and women were purely gatherers. I mean, how does that even make sense for society? To survive, you have to just do things based off of skill. You don't just do them because that person has a dick. Anyway, moving forward, because I am gonna end up lecturing about the wrong thing. Let's go to the feminine signs. So, feminine signs, this is our nurturers. This is the scaffolding of our society. These are the unpaid labor girlies. Not because they don't value money. In fact, these signs are particularly aware of the value of a dollar. The issue with these signs is they have been socialized. They already have natural feminine principles baked in, right? If we're talking water, they are already receptive and they allow things to flow. If we are talking about Taurus, they are enduring, which is a quality that women need to have because societies require it, because women tend to be the bearers and the people that raise children. Even if not all women feel that maternal instinct, it would happen epigenetically. Like, this isn't like you're just kind of built for that architecture anyway. And if you don't have children, you'll serve the community in another way where that architecture is utilized. The reason I call them the unpaid labor girlies is for all their value of a dollar, for some of the hypergamy that you'll see with these girlies, especially the earth signs. Fuck me. It's either hypergamy or it is the complete opposite, and they end up with men that fully financially depend on them. Despite all of that, they are naturally feminine, but then they are socialized to double upon those traits. That creates an imbalance. Who understands imbalance more than a Libra? Libra is the fulcrum, right? If this is a scale, this little line at the bottom is a Libra. Feminine women are women with feminine sun signs, are too feminine. They lean too much on that side. So what that means is, over their life, to come to this point, which is balanced, which is like individuation, which is harmony within themselves, they are going to have to learn these skills. They're going to have to learn to speak up when they don't want to speak up and they want to keep quiet to avoid conflict. They are going to have to learn to sometimes act instead of just sitting on information, right? Whereas these women, it's not that they are naturally balanced because they are born in a masculine sign but socialized feminine, but I would say they are kind of skewed less because they naturally have some of these masculine instincts. What they need to learn is to make it a healthy masculine instinct and to do it without apology, because masculine sun signs in women are demonized because they're the disruptors. When I'm talking disruptors, I'm talking pure Lilith energy, baby. Pure Lilith. So their outspokenness, especially as it relates to men, gets demonized. They get called too loud, too sexually promiscuous, even if they're not, because they are sexually expressive, because they don't have the same shame that other kinds of women can have about sex. There's this inbuilt, like, confidence because sex is it's like an instinctual thing that requires action. So it's like instinct plus action is masculine. I find a lot of masculine sun signs in women are, of course, we also would have to take into account their Mars and their Eros as well, but largely quite sexually confident. And even the ways in which are secure just aren't as bad as women who don't have that innate architecture and have to build it from scratch. Everything I'm saying for women is just going to be reversed for men. So we'll come back to that at a separate time. But that to me is the distinction between masculine and feminine. Just as in men, if it was a masculine sign and he's a man, he's socialized to be a man, he's also going to have that skew where he's literally too masculine. He has to learn how to soften to reach balance. A man who is a feminine sun sign can be like this or can also be like this. Why? Because it's because of men's psychology. Men's psychology is a little bit different. And men, the way they respond to their innate feminine energy, they end up turning on their own femininity because of socialization. So a lot of, I'll get into the signs there, but a lot of the men have issues when they have feminine sun signs as well, because they end up overcompensating because they feel like that's a flaw when it's not. It's an intelligence. Anyway. So what are the women good at? These women. These are the women that you can count on to assist you materially and to assist you with keeping your life stable. These are your anchors. These are your sensualists. These are the people that remind you that existing in the body is a blessing. That's what the earth sign girlies teach us. You'll have an earth sign girlfriend, and yeah, every time you go over, she's doing the most. She's got a platter ready for you. She's got a candle ready for you. You know you're really going to get taken care of sensually. You're going to leave like, wow, life is for the living, you know? Water sign girlies, these ones are interesting. I find water sign girlies to be thrill seekers, like fire signs, but not with fire energy. They're thrill seekers emotionally, for sure. That's why they kind of like and sometimes invite drama into their lives. Is like they kind of need the, it's giving like, I just needed to know that you would be upset that that man looked at me earlier today, because if you didn't, then I would think that you didn't love me. It's that kind of energy. They also can be party girls. I feel like Cancer, while a lot of them are genuinely homebodies, some of them are homebodies half the time, and then like maybe 30% of the time they will go out. It might not be where you can see, it might be privately with men, because they can get down. They're just really good at not necessarily doing it in a way that is overt. If you don't know them that closely, you won't know half the shenanigans a Cancer woman gets up to. I'll tell you that now. And Pisces women are just like, yeah, they're unapologetic about having a good time. Pisces is man or woman, they're going to have a good fucking time. Scorpios I find to be the more serious of all of them. So it's not that Scorpios don't have fun. I just think the way that they have fun is a little bit different to the other two. But they will also know how to make you feel comfortable emotionally, relationally. They will know how to soothe you. They will anticipate your needs. This is a psychic love and intelligence that they bring into the relationship with you. This is an emotionally psychic. This is someone who dreams about you and gives you information based on dreams that they've had about you. That's kind of the energy there, right? Right. Okay, well, any other particular examples? The negative side for the masculine is masculine energy is much more selfish than it is selfless. So these women, while they will be the ones who will fight you and fight for you with men in a club, I find this especially more with fire signs, mainly Aries and Sag. I would say even Gemini, to an extent Aquarius. It's not that Leo and Libra won't do it, but I'm saying these are the ones that I can be like, off the top of my head, I can think of a few situations, people over the years that kind of make me come to this. But these also could be the girls that do leave you behind and go home early because they have decided, you know, whatever it is. And these feminine signs could be the women that get into blurred lines, especially with their girlfriends. Not emotional incest, but almost, especially if you're not someone who views them in that light. It can kind of get there with water signs in particular. I find water signs can be quite messy emotionally, and I don't think they always realize that they're doing that. Negative aspect of the feminine earth signs. Now, they're selfish too, but in a different way. Their selfishness is self-absorption. They, you know how water energy is internal? It's like they're so internal that they end up just being so self-absorbed. They're only thinking about their experience. Oh, I want to date him because he's got this amount of money. Oh, I want to see my man today, so even though I normally text my girlfriend, I'm just going to see my man today, and she'll have to understand. There's this like blinkedness that earth signs have where they can sometimes be so focused on making money, meeting their own ends in terms of pleasure, that they bypass people that they know and love. So that's kind of crazy. Okay, last but not least, masculine versus feminine signs. Okay, what can we learn from masculine sign women? Your your fire signs, your air signs. What will they teach you? And I think it's pretty straightforward, to be honest. How to be selfish when you're socialized to martyr yourself. How to be boldly dominant, especially with men. As an air sign myself, one thing I do is I mirror men's body language when I speak to them. Like, men love to do these little power stances when they speak to you. I mirror that shit. No way you're gonna walk away from this situation thinking, I owned her. That's not gonna work for me. Freedom from boxes and binaries. You know, that's what the masculine girlies teach you. They teach you that you do not actually have to do X, Y, and Z because you're a woman. What do the feminine sign girlies teach us? The water signs and the earth signs. They teach us the art of pure feminine rage. You know, a fire sign, she'll yell at you. She might fight you that day. A water or an earth sign are going to plot to execute something that satisfies them on the inside. And the breadth of what that could be and what they feel justified, well, you're at the mercy of their value system, aren't you? They are dependable. They are just much more likely to be dependable. It doesn't mean moral, though. It doesn't make them better people. It doesn't make them more present. They are just more likely to be predictable because it's their safe zone. They like to do things consistently, you know? Obviously, you'll get a little bit of extra spice when it comes to the feminine but cardinal signs because that gives them a layer of masculine energy, like the Cancer women. And feminine sun sign women teach us to work smarter and not harder. So that's the tea. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. Tell me what you want to see next. Otherwise, I will steamroll you anyway. Goodbye.